Hello everyone, this is NorthWind here. Welcome back to Code Combat. In the last episode, we did the first 5 levels of the Backwoods Forest, and we're going to continue on here. I have turned down the sound. I figured it might make things a little bit easier to hear, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to move on to Patrol Buster. Defeat ogre patrols with new selective targeting skills, basic syntax, arguments, variables, and if statements. We have no new items, so let's go ahead and get in here.
Code Combat.
Your hero must survive and clean code. You now have access to powerful if statements. Check your toolbar in the lower right for the Programmaticon 2. For extra information, if statements are a fundamental tool for programmers. Create them by typing, declare the variable. If that variable exists, then attack the enemy. So in this case, they want to say if there's an enemy, attack it. So if enemy, maybe I should spell enemy correctly, then self.attack that enemy. So let's go ahead and take a look here. This is going to be inside of a loop, so while the enemy exists, it'll just continue to do this forever. As long as they're throwing enemies at me, it'll work. So this should work as long as I haven't made any typos. Let's give it a shot. Okay. Yep, it looks like everything is going to be fine. Give it another 1 or 2 here. It's just going to probably go around until it's done. There we go. Alright, and it does not look like we've got any new items. We are doing fairly well. Alright, moving on then. The next one that we have is the Village Guard. Defend a village from marauding Munchkin mayhem. Syntax, arguments, while loops, variables, and if statements. Okay, so we are still using Python. Remember, if you would prefer that I move back to JavaScript, just let me know. It's a relatively easy switch in the character select screen. So we're going to stop all the ogres, save all the peasants. It looks like we're going to patrol the village's entry points using an if statement to check for enemies, right and then left. So let's take a look here. So we're within a loop here. I'm going to move to 3534, which should be here. It's going to check to see if an enemy exists. If it does, then it's going to attack that enemy twice. Now it wants us to do the exact same thing on the right hand side. And we are just going to copy the entire block of code here, but we're instead of 3534, we're going to move to 6031. 6031. Instead of left enemy, we're going to call it right enemy. Now, it's okay to copy the code block. Just make sure that you switch. I don't want to do enemy twice. That's not the right variable name. Just make sure that you make changes to all of the code here. And I'm sure that the game at some point will prevent me from making these copy and pastes, just because if you're learning something, you're going to want to actually type it out. So let's give it a look really quick. Alright, so we've covered this. It's going to move to the left. It's going to check if there's an enemy. If there is, it's going to attack that enemy twice. It is then going to move to the right. And then it will check to see if there's an enemy here. If that enemy exists, it's going to attack that enemy twice. That should work. Let's submit, see what happens. That works. Going to the right. That works. Not an ogre. Not an ogre. Alright, so I think we are good. That would be a successful, Yep, that's success.
Devastating.
Right, from now on, all levels are randomized, so you'll have to submit to see if you win in real time. Okay, well that's good to know. What do we have next? Back to back. Patrol the village entrances, but stay defensive. Basic syntax, arguments, variables, while loops, and if statements. Still no new items.
Code Combat.
Villagers must survive, eliminate the ogres. Expand your code's possibilities by using else. Else is just like if, except it contains the code that should run if the if condition is false. So if this happens, otherwise this will happen. So let's go ahead and see what they want us to do. If an enemy exists, either attack the enemy or move back to your defensive position. So if the enemy exists, we're going to attack it. Okay, that's an obvious. If the enemy does not exist, then we're going to move back to, what is this XY coordinate? 4034. 4034. Alright, let's give that a check. That should be good. Let's take a look. Dead? Dead? Yeah, I think we're good. It's a relatively straightforward mission. But it does get you incrementally used to the more complicated logic when you're dealing with if statements. Okay, let's continue here. Again, we're going to try to keep this to about 10 minutes or so. We'll see. Ogre encampment. No new items.
Code
They want us to
combat.
break open the chest. If there is an enemy, attack the enemy. Otherwise, attack the chest. Alright, so... What I think we're going to do, we're going to use if-else. So, first things first, we need to see if the enemy exists. Self dot find nearest enemy. Okay. If enemy exists, then self dot attack that enemy. Else attack the chest. And do that forever. So make sure that we have no typos. Find the nearest enemy. If enemy exists, attack it. Otherwise, attack the chest. Looks like that is going to work. Oh no! Okay. I don't like those ranged guys. But it looks like no problems whatsoever. Okay, we've got a new item. Actually, so we have 2 new items. What do we have here? We have a sundial wristwatch and a longsword. I'm not quite sure what those do. Alright, let's do 2 more. We'll do 2 more. Use your new cleave ability to fend off munchkins. Basic syntax, arguments, strings, variables, while loops, and if statements. We're going to equip everything that we possibly can. Actually, I guess you can only have the sword or you can have the hammer, but you can't have both. That's fine. Let's take a look to see what the skills gives us. Cleave its target and anything around it for 10 meters for cleave damage.
Code combat.
Okay. So, fend off the ogres. You have a new sword with the method Cleave, and a new watch with the method Is Ready. Cleave is a special attack that hits all nearby enemies, but can only be used once every so often. Okay. Before you cleave, check to see if it's ready. If self.isReady cleave, self.cleave enemy. Otherwise, attack the enemy. Alright, so let's take a look to see what they've already given us. Move to 2323, which is here. Check to see if the enemy exists. If cleave is ready, cleave, which we need to do like self dot, what's the self dot cleave enemy. Otherwise, self dot attack enemy. So what this will do is it will check to see if cleave is ready. If cleave is ready, it will use that ready, and then if not, it will move on. Alright, so, anything else in here? I don't think so, but you know what? Let's give it a shot. Alright, so far so good. Okay, I think we're good. Yet another new item. Looks like this one is a shield. A bronze shield. Alright, we'll do one more, and then that will be the end of this episode. Wonder what the difference between these two are. Oh no, we're going to go to the one with the arrow on it. Combine cleave and shield to endure an ogre onslaught. Double click to equip. Well, obviously we want to have the good boots, not the bad boots, so... Alright, use shield to endure the onslaught. Alright, you have access to a method called shield. Combine if-else to use shield while you wait for cleave to be ready. Let's see. Be sure to use a while true loop as you only shield for a limited time. Alright, survive both waves by shielding and cleaving. When cleave is not ready, use your shield skill. You'll need at least 142 health to survive. Wow, okay. Well, first things first, we're going to create a loop. We're going to say, hey, if self dot is ready cleave, then we're going to self dot attack, not attack, cleave. And I think you need to have, you need to have a target in here. I should probably have put that like that. But first things first, we need to determine, we have to actually set that variable. So enemy equals self dot find nearest enemy. I wonder if self dot is ready cleave, then I think you need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder what this error here is saying. Unexpected indent. Because I didn't put that there. If that doesn't work, else we're going to want to shield. Now let's take a look at the way that shield is done. It's just basically self.shield. Okay, so if cleave is ready, use cleave. If not, then shield. Let's see what happens.
Action.
Cleave is good. Block. And then cleave. Alright, there you go. We have yet another item. Wooden glasses. Interesting. Not quite sure what wooden glasses are going to do, but you know what? That's going to have to wait until the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I am happy that everyone is enjoying this episode. This series. If you would like to see more, please be sure to let me know. Leave a like, leave a comment. It really does help me out. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.